Imagine being arrested for a crime you didn't commit. Suddenly, you're in an interrogation room, exhausted and scared, bombarded with questions you can't answer. Investigators promise that confessing will make things easier. But for some, a confession means years lost behind bars. Innocent people have confessed to crimes they never committed. Today, we're counting down 10 shocking cases of false confessions and why they happened. In 1989, New York City was shaken by the brutal assault of a young woman in Central Park. 5 teens were arrested, interrogated for hours, and confessed under pressure, despite conflicting stories. The media painted them as guilty, sealing their fate. Years later, DNA proved another man acted alone. Their 2002 exoneration exposed the dangers of coercive interrogations and sparked calls for reform. In 1997, Michelle Moore Bosco was found murdered in Norfolk, Virginia. Police quickly zeroed in on Daniel Williams, a Navy sailor, who confessed after hours of intense interrogation, despite glaring inconsistencies. 3 more Navy men, Joseph Dick, Derek Tice, and Eric Wilson, were arrested and, under relentless pressure, also confessed, though their stories contradicted each other and the evidence. These confessions became the backbone of the prosecution's case. DNA from the crime scene matched another man, Omar Ballard, who confessed to acting alone. Despite this, prosecutors stuck to their theory that all 4 sailors were involved. The Norfolk Four spent years behind bars before finally being cleared. The case exposed just how unreliable confessions can be when suspects are exhausted, isolated, and desperate for the ordeal to end. It's a warning about the dangers of tunnel vision in investigations. In 1974, 2 pubs in Guildford, England exploded in deadly bombings linked to the IRA. Police, under immense pressure, arrested 4 young people, Jerry Conlon, Paul Hill, Patrick Armstrong, and Carol Richardson. They were interrogated for days, with little sleep, no lawyers, and constant threats. Eventually, all 4 confessed, but their statements were riddled with contradictions and factual errors. Physical evidence was scant, yet public outrage pushed the courts to convict, sending the Guildford Four to prison for 15 years. Over time, it became clear the investigation was flawed, key evidence had been suppressed, and police misconduct was rampant. In 1989, their convictions were overturned. The truth emerged. The Guildford Four had been forced, through fear and exhaustion, to confess to crimes they didn't commit. Their case became a rallying cry against coerced confessions and for legal safeguards during interrogations. Months after the Guildford bombings, tragedy struck again in Birmingham, England. 2 pubs were bombed, killing 21 people and injuring hundreds. Police arrested 6 Irish men, the Birmingham Six, and subjected them to harrowing interrogations. The men described being beaten, starved, and threatened until they confessed. Their statements were inconsistent and later retracted, but convictions followed. Years later, new evidence and independent investigations revealed police misconduct and shaky forensic evidence. The men languished in prison for 16 years before their convictions were overturned in 1991. The case became a symbol of miscarriage of justice in the UK, fueling demands for legal reforms. The Birmingham Six's ordeal remains a sobering lesson in the dangers of relying on confessions above all else. In the 1970s, Iceland was rocked by the mysterious disappearances of 2 men. No bodies were found, no physical evidence uncovered. After months of isolated detention and relentless interrogations, 6 young Icelanders confessed to involvement in the crimes. Their stories were vague, contradictory, and changed over time, likely due to psychological pressure and confusion. Over time, the suspects began to doubt their own memories, eventually believing they were guilty. In 2018, these convictions were finally overturned, with experts concluding the confessions were unreliable, products of suggestion, fear, and exhaustion. The Reykjavik confessions case is a chilling reminder of how easily memories can be manipulated. In 1985, an elderly woman was raped and murdered in Beatrice, Nebraska. 6 local residents confessed after intense interrogations, despite having little or no memory of the crime. Some even believed they were guilty, convinced by police tactics and leading questions. Decades later, DNA evidence proved none of the six were involved and identified the true killer. The Beatrice Six spent up to 20 years in prison before being fully exonerated. Their ordeal is now a case study, reminding us that justice demands more than just a confession. It requires the truth. 17-year-old Marty Tankleff awoke one morning in 1988 to find his parents brutally attacked in their Long Island home. He called 911, but soon found himself the prime suspect. During a marathon interrogation, police falsely told Marty that his own father had named him as the attacker. In shock and confusion, Marty began to doubt himself, and eventually, he confessed. He quickly recanted, but prosecutors pressed on, pointing to his confession as proof of guilt. Marty spent 17 years in prison before new evidence led to his exoneration in 2007. His case is a stark warning about the dangers of deceptive interrogation tactics, especially with vulnerable young people. Henry Lee Lucas was a drifter with a troubled past. In the 1980s, he stunned investigators by confessing to hundreds of murders across the United States. Police from dozens of jurisdictions flocked to Texas, eager to close their own cold cases. But many of his confessions were impossible. Records showed Lucas was often in a different state or even in jail at the time. Investigators, desperate for answers, fed him details, and Lucas seemed to crave attention. As the truth unraveled, it became clear Lucas was responsible for far fewer crimes than he claimed. His false confessions misled families, wasted police resources, and created a web of confusion. In 1993, three 8-year-old boys were found murdered in West Memphis, Arkansas. Police arrested three teenagers, Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miskelly, citing their interest in heavy metal music and rumors of satanic rituals. Jesse, with a low IQ and under intense pressure, confessed after hours of questioning, but his statement was riddled with inconsistencies. Despite recanting, Jesse's confession became the foundation for the prosecution's case. Years later, DNA testing revealed none of the evidence matched the West Memphis Three. After nearly 20 years in prison, the three men were released in a deal that let them maintain their innocence while pleading guilty. The case remains controversial, a stark warning about the dangers of coerced confessions and the need for real evidence. By now, you know the Central Park Five case. But what you may not realize is just how much it changed the world. After their exoneration, activists demanded answers. How could 5 innocent teens be pressured into confessing? The answer forced police departments to rethink their interrogation methods. Today, many agencies record all interrogations, especially with juveniles, and new rules protect vulnerable suspects. The Central Park Five's ordeal became a turning point, changing the way we see justice, police work, and the power of a confession. Sometimes, the truth can set you free, not just as an individual, but as a society. These cases reveal a surprising truth. People can confess to crimes they never committed. The reasons are complex: fear, exhaustion, manipulation, or a desperate hope to make the questioning stop. It can happen to anyone, especially those who are young, vulnerable, or isolated. That's why modern investigations rely on multiple forms of evidence, including DNA, forensic science, and careful review, rather than a confession alone. Every wrongful conviction is a tragedy that can never truly be undone. By learning from these stories, we can help prevent the same mistakes from happening again. Which case shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime, history, and mystery videos.